Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green and this is Wise Woman Television. Today I have a reading for you on how to embody your divine feminine energy. So if you are someone who's been told that, or you've seen that, or you've read that, or whatever, and you're like, well, how does it actually happen? I'm going to tell you today, so that's very exciting. I first encourage you to like and subscribe. Liking ensures this video reaches other people's lives, that we change others' lives. And subscribing ensures your highest commitment to yourself. If you press the bell icon, you'll receive a notification every time a video pops up, and you'll be supported to maintain that commitment to your own self-discovery and self-growth. So thank you for being here. I'm first going to put up the piles for you. That way you can make an intuitive choice as to which card pile 1, 2, or 3 is for you. And we will begin. So, card pile 1, how to embody more of your divine feminine energy. So there's something here about you might tend to be more passive or submissive, and while that even may be relevant to more feminine energy, right? I want to go ahead and share the disclaimer that, this is the information from Spirit that came through. So what we might tend to conceptualize as masculine or feminine for your pile as well as all card piles, it may not match those conceptions of what we have believed to be the case for both masculine and feminine. So look, I'll begin with that, and I'll do that for each of the card piles. So I want to share that what I share with you may not be what you've read before, and all of that, that's fine. I've taken year-long apprenticeships in the sacred feminine, so I have my own belief systems around what feminine energy is, and yet let's let Spirit make the call today and determine what that is and looks like for you uniquely, okay? So that's my invitation first and foremost, because what it's saying here is you've tended to be more passive or submissive, and while that might be something that, again, tends to be more quote-unquote feminine, what we imagine to be feminine in nature based on our conditioning, it's actually saying, especially because this is a familial pattern for you, a generational pattern for you, that it's important for you to actually do what it is you want, okay? To follow the path of your own heart, to follow the path of your own desires, to honor your needs, to honor your desires. So in our culture, a lot of the conditioning, especially for women, you may be a man watching this, and that's fine, but I'm speaking to culture conditioning in this moment about the message to women, but it has been about shelving our dreams and desires, shelving our dreams in order to support our partner's dreams, or to support our children, or support our family, to maintain the home. And what it's saying is, this isn't the divine feminine. Now I'm getting why it's divine feminine. Got some emotion over here too, because holding back on following through on your heart, on your dreams and your desires prevents the awakening, the greater collective and global awakening of the divine feminine that wants to come through. So that's what it is. Because, right, we do tend to conceptualize a sort of passive or submission and things like that to be traits or qualities of the feminine. And while those are valuable traits, what it's saying here, if parts of ourselves are shelved or sacrificed or delayed or postponed or ignored or neglected, we don't fully actualize the divine feminine awakening that we came here to precipitate, to support, to affirm, and to bring into fruition. So if you are a part of this divine feminine uprising and awakening, and I would imagine you most certainly are if you're here and you're listening to this reading, whether you know that consciously or not, or subscribe to that as a part of your path, it doesn't matter. It's a part of what your soul came here for, and it's saying, making those priorities, following your own path, your own dreams, your own desires, your own needs priorities, because not only does that break the generational chains of the past, and it essentially breaks those generational cycles that have really suppressed and limited women primarily for eons. It breaks you free of that, so that way you are fully supported and liberated to be and experience and have all that you are. But it also supports the greater feminine awakening and uprising that's happening on the planet today. That cannot happen if you're postponing or shelving or delaying or neglecting or not owning yourself, your power, your heart's desires. If you're just making those be like, or that doesn't matter as much as, or, oh, my husband has to do this, or my child, your version's going to be very different. Those are just examples that I actually came through with my head. I'm not feeling the energy in the card pile today. What I am getting is that many of you tend to be more of a passive or submissive nature, and you don't step into your own power to become the creator or the master of your life, and you're being asked to do that. That way, that masculine nature of standing in your own power can be of service to the feminine, meaning if the masculine steps up and anchors into his own power, the masculine within you, and you decide, okay, I'm doing this for myself, I'm pursuing this, then the divine feminine within you is honored, because all those things that you are meant to bring out, or what is meant to come forward or live through you, can then come into being, okay? So the next message here too is you're getting a lot of breaking the chains, because some of you in pile 1, then I'm getting the feeling that you have either tended to not be supported or not surround yourself with other women even. I'm getting a lot of this card pile, and I guess it's because it's the divine feminine, but you tend to not surround yourself with people or a social circle or people who can support you, or women in general, or women specifically even. And it's saying like you have an opportunity here to connect more with people, to connect more with a social sphere, to cultivate and be a part of a community, to cultivate and be a part of a sisterhood, to really lock arms even with other women, okay? For some of you that might feel foreign or even scary, but it's saying how to actualize or embody more of the divine feminine nature. Really free yourself of the chains that say you have to do it all alone, or it has to be done a certain way, or that you can't ask for help, or that it's just easier and it's not worth the effort to go through having to include other people, right? Let all those stories just be a story, and your stories are stories, right? Our thoughts are thoughts. They don't have to be the end game. They don't have to be the final rule we follow or subscribe to. Like, they can just be thoughts, and they can just be stories. And in your case, that's the guidance that's coming through, because again, generationally, a lot of your stuff, pile 1, is about breaking generational cycles, and this could be for your family uniquely, or even culturally and collectively. You're being asked to let go of those stories so you can come into greater communion with community, with other people, with the village, so to speak, that village mentality, the village that we believe is essentially missing in the modern era in the Western world. Create the village, be a part of the village, realizing that it's not, when you create a community or you're a part of a community or a sisterhood or whatever, this isn't about you showing up and giving and doing everything. In fact, it's about a mutual exchange. It's about reciprocity. That's the whole point of community. So everyone coming together to support each other. So it is something that does give back to you if you allow it, okay? If you're used to going into community and being passive and submissive, like we've already said, and so you just shelve your stuff and go do everything for everyone else, well, no wonder you have trouble stepping into more communal spaces, right? But if you have that healing, right, underway, and you've grown in that way, opening your life and yourself up to really surrounding yourself with other people, so you guys can create spaces that are more community bound, as well as create more opportunities for support both ways. Because what I'm getting here is this feeling of this kind of individual journeying that we have all come to believe is normal or customary or whatever in the Western world, where we are very focused. It's like an egoist lifestyle where it's like just me and me focused. I'm not saying you're like that. I'm saying that's just the culture. And it's saying there's an opportunity here for more interdependence and for people to be supported and to be held and loved by their community. That there is a reciprocity available here for you and for all, but this needs to be stepped into. And it looks like for you, pile 1 uniquely, as compared to pile 2 and 3, which I haven't read yet, but we'll get there, that you have an opportunity here to really support yourself and even your family, but also culturally and collectively, to allow yourself to be a part of greater communities and to learn what it's like to exchange and be supported and to support a community, right? That reciprocity that goes back and forth, okay? Now, another part of you is to not get so bogged down in practical realities that you allow yourself to live and to breathe and to play and to roam and to adventure. Because for you, pile 1s, I'm getting that some of you feel held back. I am getting a vibe of some of you are stay-at-home moms. But either way, you get bogged down by the practicalities of life, right? There's so much to do. We talked earlier, or at least alluded to, there's a lot of expectations, especially for women. And we can carry the brunt of modern day life, especially modern day family life, right? Because we're expected to play all the roles, mother, wife, provider, siren, all the things, right? We're supposed to wear all the hats, and that can feel very overwhelming. And it's saying here, do not get bogged down so much by the practical realities of life that you don't let your soul explore, that you don't let yourself play and have fun and enjoy. Like, I'm feeling like you guys enjoying delicious food and just kind of prancing around on a hillside, but whatever it is that your soul yearns for, allowing yourself to make space for that you didn't come here just to do all the responsibilities and stuff, again, to be passive and submissive to like even the burdens and responsibilities and practicalities of life. Your soul didn't come here for that. That's in service to the greater life. If you're finding that your practical reality is your primary reality, it's not being used properly. The practical reality of life is supposed to serve the greater vision that you have for your life, right? If you're living your greater vision, then the practical realities don't feel so bad because you realize what they're in service to. You're like, oh, wow. Because of these things that I do, I'm able to experience this amazing vision. But if you're not living your dream life or what it is that that fulfills you and really supports you emotionally and so on and so forth, if you're not living that and you're doing all the practical realities, life's going to feel very dull. It's going to feel sterile and dry and boring and just, okay? So you're being asked to play, to thrive, to allow yourself to explore this world, even whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't have to feel so bogged down and so practical and so heavy. Now, the final message for embodying the divine feminine for pile ones is taking space and breaks for yourself, that way, and to commune with yourself. I think these are actually paired, but can also be two separate messages. Take the time away to really honor yourself, to nurture yourself, to hear your soul's voice, to listen to your soul's callings, to understand what those deeper yearnings are, to be able to understand some of this old cycle, these old cycles too around, women are meant to be seen and not heard. I mean, it's more children that we've heard that about, but I'm saying it's like there is a feeling of sort of this passive female or receptive female archetype that I've been feeling for pile ones. And so explore that within your family. Where did that come from? Was that my mom like that? Was her grandmother like that? Were my aunts like that? Have I passed that down to my children if I have children? But just being willing to observe and explore and allow these things to be released and to just be a story that you no longer have to honor. And it may require bigger changes out of you. This reading isn't just something you can do overnight, right? We've asked a lot of you already. This is what you're learning over the course of your lifetime, I feel like, for you, pile one. This is a lifetime journey for you, or at least a good 20, 30 years, it feels like. It feels like maybe many of you during your motherhood years. It doesn't feel like the maiden or even the crone journey years. This feels primarily during that season of motherhood, whether you have children or not, right? Maiden, mother, crone, that center, middle parts of your life. So remembering to take a break, to honor yourself, to take care of yourself, to put your needs first, to honor your desires, to honor your dreams, but especially to take the time away to even know what those are so that you can nurture them, so that you can listen for your truth, so you can commune with yourself, the deepest parts of you, even your old parts of you, like your inner child, what it wants to say, or the parts of you that have been hurt or been pained in the past, or the parts that are ancestral, that are just crying out for, just wailing, for it's like the plight of women and children. Like, allow yourself to really hear all of this, and not that you sit there, stay there, pack up your bags and live there, but just become aware of it, because when you become aware, it can be released. All this old karma or baggage can be released. You clear out that cycle and you're able to step into this greater embodiment of the divine feminine for yourself. So thank you, pile one. If this lands, if it resonates, I encourage you to like and subscribe, to share your story in the comments below. I want to let you know I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching sessions and deeper one-on-one transformational work. If you go to erritygreen.com, you can find all the information there as well as below. So thank you, pile one. Pile two, how to embody more of your divine feminine, or more of the divine feminine energy. I want to offer the disclaimer that we might have particular conceptualizations or preconceived notions as to what masculine and feminine are. I myself, have been involved, and then for years after, in a year-long apprenticeship in the sacred feminine. I have my own ideas about what that looks and means and feels like. All of that to say, we're going to let Spirit decide what it wants to talk about today, regardless of our preconceived notions and belief systems. Take what resonates and leave the rest, okay? So card pile two, so to step into your greater divine feminine energy, pile two, you are being asked to honor your authentic life path, to be willing to do something that's different, to be willing to do something that's extraordinary, to be willing to do something that's alternative or more holistic or closer to earth or to spirit. It's being willing to do that at all costs, even. Because I'm feeling like, for pile one, like you, I'm feeling a lot of like a holistic energy. We could even say kind of a hippie energy, or even crunchy mom energy. You don't have to be those things. This is a collective reading. Those just might be the primary individuals that will be watching this. Or just energy coming straight off the cards. But there's something here about doing something that's sort of anti-conformist, that's anti-society, that's not in line with the standard issue cultural norms or customs in the modern world or in the Western world. And it's saying, like, it's giving you full support to live true to yourself, no matter the cost. Because what I'm feeling like for pile 1, again, I'm circling back around to what I was trying to say in the beginning, which is it feels like there's a big cost here associated. This may not apply to everyone, but I feel like it's coming through, so it has to connect with at least a few of you. And it's like you feel like there might be, or it just feels like in general there's this heavy cost to living true to you in the modern world, because there's a lot of work or research or effort or whatever that is required to do things differently, and it's saying it's worth it. You know, it's what you came here for, and it's actually a part of your greater destiny. You know, there's something here about benefiting and impacting the whole and the collective, and it's very interesting. Woo, it even gives me emotions because moves things within me, because both pile 1 and pile 2, when we're talking about the divine feminine, this hasn't been just about the individual, it's about the collective. You know, this is about changing the world, and changing the world happens through each of us awakening and embodying our divine feminine energy. And I've always known that on an intellectual level, and it's interesting doing this reading today because it's coming through so powerfully that this very much has to do with the collective shift, very much has to do with global transformation. It has nothing, it doesn't just or exclusively have to do with just like the individual, right? We're all pieces to a greater puzzle or greater template, and it's saying you stepping into this role is not only a part of your soul contract or soul agreement, you know, whatever you subscribe to in terms of your belief system, but it's about you helping change the world and move the needle. This is about coming into your greater voice, coming into your greater purpose, and really knowing and understanding yourself at the deepest level and living a life that truly honors that. So it's really, really beautiful, pile 2. So what it's saying here too is continuing to make the space to like honor yourself deeply and recognize what a beautiful, powerful soul that you are, because there's something here about just giving yourself utmost respect and honoring. And I have this feeling of like lavish treatment, or I don't know if it feels like luxury, but it's just like, you know, honoring your body and just like knowing what a gift you are of God or from the goddess, that you are the goddess, right? And that everything, first of all, and not only that you are the goddess and you are an extension and expression of the goddess, so really respecting and honoring all that you are, like, but I'm also feeling that at the level of the physical, like really loving and honoring your body, nourishing and honoring your body, like it reminds me of kind of milk and honey and baths and just flowers and just, you know, really honoring really how profoundly beautiful you are, that you are a temple, you know, a temple of God, goddess, and respecting yourself as such, you know, really seeing that in yourself. That's the part of what wants to come through for you, pile 2, as well as taking the time and the space to commune with yourself, really getting to know yourself deeply, really getting to know your yearnings deeply. And of course, part of that work, or the other part of the equation, is anchoring that into your everyday life, is building a reality that's based on, that is true to who you are. I'm feeling a very deep spiritual, emotional, earth connected kind of energy for pile 2, where it's like, again, that holistic energy or whatever, living closer to the earth. And so really getting connected with yourself and knowing all parts of yourself. It just feels so earthy and rich and loving and abundant and self-honoring. And I wish I even had better words or bigger words or whatever words to really honor this energy that's coming through. But, you know, we are limited by language. But that's what wants to come through for you, is treating yourself as the goddess that you are. There's some big potentials or abundance that you reap as a result of doing so. And it's interesting too, because this isn't just like self-love, it feels like self-reverence. You know, it feels like this deep honoring, deep respect, self-reverence, which is obviously very, very powerful. And what it's saying here too then, the next card that's coming through is, you know, I feel like we keep getting the same message, but I'll affirm it again because it's here, and that's taking those steps to continue to bring this to life. Now, I feel like some of you have already been on this journey, so perhaps it's an up level or upgrade, or maybe it's a big leap, you know, a new opportunity, a bigger change, a bigger shift. Some of you I'm getting like farming or homesteading. Some of you I'm getting a change in your diet. So it's going to be unique to each of you, and we don't dive into the specifics very much, and I think it's because we're focusing on the divine feminine energy, so it's going to feel very general, especially since it's a collective reading, but even more so. So some of you are, I feel like, are already doing this. So perhaps there's another part of your vision that's coming through, or part of your dream that you've kind of been holding out on. You know, maybe you've wanted to make a move, change your residence, change your job, leave the job, start a new business. I don't know if I already said that. Live closer to the earth, find ways to be self-sufficient. You know, I don't know what it is for each and every one of you, but that's the kind of energy and the vibe that I'm getting. So if there's a new opportunity or a new calling that's up and coming and present for you, you're being asked to take that step. Now I am going to pull a clarifier card on this other card because I want to, oh yeah, I already got it actually, but we'll pull something anyway. Yeah, same card. I love it when I get, every journey requires a single step and advance. Oh, so you're saying to advance. Shocking. So keep going. Your soul wants to be seen. You know, that's what I feel. It wants to be seen and known of its every depth, of every cell, of every fiber. And it wants you to be able to experience that in your outer world and to see the beauty that you are out here. Okay? So it's like, we talked about the self-reverence that was coming up for pile 2. And it's like getting to know yourself very deeply on the inside, but then learning how you can actually project that and experience that as your life on the outside, a life of awe and reverence and gratitude. Okay, very beautiful, powerful, spiritual pile 2, because it's saying like seeing the true you, seeing all that you are, but not just experiencing it inside of you, experiencing it outside of you, because you've taken the steps and done the journeying and the building and the manifesting to actually experience your life as a reflection of your soul, a one-to-one correspondence, looking back at each other, right? And of course, when we have our soul projected back at us, we're not looking at limitation anymore. We're not looking at wounding. We're not looking at self-worth issues. We're not looking at inner child issues. I mean, the inner child is a huge part of our liberation and even our desires and things like that, bigger dreams and destiny, but I'm talking about the wounding that might be present there. You're not going to be seeing that out in the real world anymore, right? That's not what you're going to see on the world stage when you open your eyes and look at your life. It's saying the more you live true to you and true to these callings and yearnings, the more you're going to create a life that reflects your soul, a one-to-one correspondence, an exact mirror, boom, right out in front of you. And what a beautiful life that is. I mean, a life of awe, reverence, and gratitude. Like, what could be better than that, honestly? I couldn't tell you. Because it's saying here, this is all about you stepping into your power, you know, and not just your power, like we say, pretty generalized or in a vague way, which we talk about. I feel like we do that a lot for, you know, we see that on the internet or on a blog or whatever. And this is saying, like, I feel like you really are a priestess or a goddess. Maybe you were someone who walked or worked as a priestess in one of your past lives, if you believe in that. Maybe you carry a high caliber or rank or something, you know, as a starseed, if you are consciousness or whatever from another planet, if you believe in that. But there's something here about like you actually coming to know your own goddesshood, essentially, you yourself as a godhead on this earth. Now, again, it could be because you actually have cultivated this energy before. It could be because you have a deep connection with any one of the goddesses, because these are, whether you actually believe in them as goddesses or not, they are aspects of consciousness that can be tuned into as a frequency at any time. So whether or not you believe it or not is kind of irrelevant. They exist in the sense that everything exists, and you can tune into it. And so if you have a deep relationship with any of the goddesses, that could be relevant, and you're bringing that forth on this planet. And I feel like, again, this could be past lives or starseed origin, but there's something here about you really bringing through priestesshood, godheadedness, like you're being the godhead, priestess. And let me pull another clarifier card in this final card here that I want to share. Yeah, we keep on saying that, right? Very earthy connected. That keeps coming up. There might be some final sort of pieces of healing or growth work to do. And, you know, of course, what we're talking about when we talk about embodiment of an energy, this could be over a lifetime. Now, pile 1 feels like it was very much like we're looking at 2 or 3 decades of work. Yours looks a little bit like this could be less, like 10 years. So you've either walked the path for a while or you've done the work in a past life, like I said. But this feels like it's very close and available for you, and you've already done some of the work. But what it's saying here, there might be some old or additional pieces regarding like, it's going to be unique to each and every one of you, and I'm not getting like a clear hit on an energy that requires healing, because I didn't ask that question, right? I asked how to embody the energy, but it says there might be some remaining healing work to do, and the only thing that's coming through for me, so if it doesn't apply to you, take what resonates and leave the rest, is like these feelings of like you have to live a certain way or do it a certain way or live the way that other people do. It feels like kind of masculine-based models of success or masculine-based ideals or things that feel like standard issue customs and norms, like, you know, being willing to live completely in opposition to what we see right now, because the way that you operate, the way that you live, the way that your soul desires, it lives very, very differently and embodies very, very differently. And so you might have some clearing work to do around just taking note of where it is you believe things aren't possible, or where you believe things might be hard or really hard, or ways you believe you might not be supported, or things that you think aren't possible because if you're living off grid or homesteading or whatever, you might have some fears about where the collective is going and some of this. So there's some healing work there, and I will explore that more deeply for yourself. It has already told you to tune in some, so I think you'll get your answers, and you might even know right off the bat as I'm sharing this. So pile 2, yours is all about creating a life of reverence and honoring yourself as well as a Godhead, which is pretty freaking amazing. Like that's what it lands. That's what we got. So awesome for you, pile 2. If this resonates for you, I encourage you to like and subscribe, as well as share your story in the comments below. I do want to let you know I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching sessions and deeper one-on-one transformational work at my website, erritygreen.com. You can also find some of the details below. Thank you, pile 2. Okay, pile 3. Pile 3, this is your how to embody more of your divine feminine energy reading, and I want to offer a disclaimer that we walk in here with different preconceived notions and conceptualizations around what masculine or feminine is, and each of our belief systems are likely different. I myself took an apprenticeship in the sacred feminine. It was a year long, like 7 years ago or however long ago, maybe 6 years ago, and I've been on the path for many, many, many years. So I have my own beliefs, but we're going to let spirit talk today and decide what's feminine and how you can uniquely embody it more today. Okay? So the first thing that's coming through here is following your dreams, really following your bliss, following your joy, honoring your desire as something worthy of following. There's something here about the more that you do this, the more that you're going to also come in like as a side effect or a side note, even if it's not like a direct desire for you, but I feel like it is at a deeper level, you're going to come into communion or connection with your greater soul family or your soul tribe, or the community that genuinely values and appreciates you and celebrates you. But the first thing I want to begin with is really following and honoring and genuinely following your bliss, all right? Following your joy, allowing yourself to have fun, allowing yourself to live close to your heart. Yeah, so funny. I got the same, like letting your life be this greater vision quest of seeking out your joy, of seeking out your bliss, of seeking out what fills you up, what fulfills you. And so following your joy, following your bliss, and we'll see if it talks more about soul family as we go, because what it's saying here is like this is going to connect you with all the right people at the right time, and that feels relevant in terms of just deeper soul connections and having that support and that family around you, but it also feels purpose related, maybe even related to the work that you do, or the impact you want to make in the world, or perhaps you're looking for an investor. That's a very rare thing for me to say, so it must land for somebody. But you're looking for, it feels like maybe connection or opportunities or resources or whatever, and you're going to find that through following your joy, following your bliss, all right? That's the first message. Now the next one is, honoring and trusting your path, even if it is unusual or abnormal or unique. Because obviously, if we're following our heart, our path, our life is going to be is going to be considerably unique as compared to other people, because it's ours. We're following our own hearts. We're not following the cultural or collective norms. We're not following what mommy or daddy did or whoever said or do this or do that. We're not going based on what we're taught and told. We're going based on our own hearts, on our own desires, our own joys, right? Allowing yourself to follow those joys. Because take a look at this. You have this card, right? The gold, you see her looking up. And then you have this one, the gold, she's looking up, all right? So there's something here, there's gold, and being true to yourself and honoring what you know is true and following through on, again, those things that move you, those things that call to you, those things that inspire you. There's gold in that. Gold, that's abundance, that's potential, that's radiance, that's aliveness. Obviously, that's where you connect with these connections that you're, interested in. Some of you, and this may not land for everybody, but again, many of you are on, even if you're not on the hunt, right? But you're like available to have set the intention to meet, people that can support you in whatever way. Maybe it's clients that you want to impact. Maybe it's, again, investors. Maybe it's the right connections, the right opportunities, the right time. And it's saying that happens when you're willing to follow your path or your desires ruthlessly, right? And to honor that first and foremost above all things, and to trust it because it might feel weird or unusual, or it might seem strategically that it's nonsense, or when you try to compare it to like how things would normally go, or maybe what you should do, or what society said, or whatever, it's going to look absolutely ridiculous. And yet you're being called to do that and being asked to trust your path. It's being affirmed that this is the path for you. So if there's a path that you've questioned or a desire that you've had even prior to this, you're being given the affirmation, this is the way to go. This is the right path for you. Pile 3, this is the way to go. To honor yourself, to honor your desires, your dreams, your inspirations, and that the things that you're seeking in terms of abundance, whether they be people, money, impact, ideas, opportunities, whatever the things that you're seeking. I think that's the greater meaning of that first card regarding soul connections, is that the abundance that you seek, because we're seeing all that gold too, comes through when you honor your path ruthlessly or relentlessly. Okay, that's a very unfeminine word, but you know, that's a very a lot of times we have to honor the masculine and use the masculine energy in order to serve the feminine or to protect the feminine. And so in this case, we are ruthless to our own path, to our own desires, to our own joy, because we know that's what's going to allow these potentials to come through, right? Not only can we embody more of our feminine energy as a result of our ruthless alignment, but we're able to call in all those things that we dream of and desire, that greater destiny, that abundance that we're seeing these women are looking up at, all right? And it's saying too that there's like a lot of stuff, right? A lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas, a lot of opportunities. Remember to stick by the one thing that's your thing. And what's the gauge? It's the thing that you desire, the thing that brings you closer to joy, the thing that brings you closer to bliss, the thing that brings you closer to fulfillment, okay? Not everybody is familiar with joy and bliss. Not everyone has had the capacity to receive. Their nervous systems are not yet available for joy and bliss. So you might not even know what that means, or you've had very small glimpses of it. Whatever they are, keep moving toward those even glimpses or blips in the radar of joy. If you haven't experienced that, move closer to fulfillment. If you're not emotionally fulfilled, it is not right for you. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a partner, you know, or a spouse, or whatever, your family life, your home life, your work, your commute. If it is not fulfilling, it is not for you. And it doesn't always mean we throw the baby out with the bathwater, although sometimes it can. Sometimes it means that you need to change things up to make sure it is fulfilling. What would make that commute more fulfilling for you? What would make your home life more fulfilling for you? What would make your job more fulfilling for you, okay? But continuing to move in closer and closer alignment with that, that is your arrow, that's your compass, okay? Because it's saying here, you got to do it. You're being asked to do this, and do so in a way that you never have before, such that you erect such strong boundaries and standards for yourself and for your life that you don't move out of alignment, okay? You get very heavy on your no, and you know when that no needs to come down, like, you know, the judge's gavel. Is that the word? We don't know. Shockingly, you know, someone with my intelligence can't come up with a word, but hey, here we are. But it's saying that, you know, have that strength, learn the strength of your no, learn to erect those boundaries. Again, use that masculine energy in service to safeguard the feminine, which is your value system, what you truly want, your joy, your bliss, your fulfillment. That's number one for you, pile 3, is honoring yourself. It's funny because almost all piles got some semblance of this, but honoring your dreams, your joy, your fulfillment. That's your number one. That's alignment. Anything else is not alignment. And it doesn't mean that we always throw everything out if it doesn't work, because obviously a lot of life is chopping wood, carrying water, and guess what? That's not always fulfilling. Sometimes you got to change that up. You got to change the way you chop wood or change the way you carry water. Sometimes it's that you have to change your perspective and learn to actually engage with that moment and that job so that you can be present. You learn to engage with that activity no matter what it is, even if it is doing dishes or sweeping the floor, so that you feel fully alive and fully fulfilled just by doing that simple activity. Sometimes it's a change in perception, but either way, if you're not fulfilled, you're not in alignment. Okay, so you're being asked to continue to move toward this and advance and like make progress in bringing your life into full alignment with who you are, and erect the necessary boundaries and structures in order to support that. Get to know your no firmly and let that be the answer. It's not in alignment, I'm not doing it, done. Because you don't have to convince anybody else, you got to convince yourself, okay? This doesn't feel like you're having to say no to all these other people all the time, although that's probably a reflection and manifestation of your own indecision. It's saying you have to get comfortable with your no. No, this isn't in alignment, done. No questions asked. You're not second guessing yourself. You're not going back and forth. You're not rehashing and recycling and asking 1,000 people. If it's not joy, if it's not bliss, if it's not aliveness, if it's not fulfillment, done. It's cut off. I move on, and you move on to the next thing. You will move more quickly when you do that. Things will come into manifestation much more quickly because you've done that, because you know your no very well. You know what's a yes, you know what's a no. Now you know what your yes is when it's in alignment. If it's anything other than that, it's a no. So things can move, energy can move much more quickly that way because you're not in indecision, you're not second guessing, and now you'll be able to call in that what you want much more quickly, all right? So the final piece here is there's a message here around not getting too caught up or hung up in old wounding or old issues or old stories or old traumas or fears or whatever. So I feel like maybe some of you that is what has diluted your capacity to experience joy, bliss, or fulfillment, or maybe it's made you give up on higher levels of joy, bliss, and fulfillment. Like, well, you know, this is as good as it's going to get, you know, or at least it's something. Something's better than nothing. Or, you know, just ways of limiting yourself, ways of limiting your experience, ways of limiting your fulfillment, kind of stories and justifications for what you believe you're worthy of or what you deserve and or what you even believe is possible. Please know those are old stories. That's not real and that's not true. That's a falsehood. And it might have been relevant for another time, for another version of you, but it's not relevant anymore. And I would argue that it wasn't even relevant before. But if you want to argue for your limitations, go ahead and argue for the person when it happened 20 years ago or however long it was. You know, fine. Keep your argument. You know, keep that belief for that time. But that time's over. Okay? We're 10 years, 20 years, 2 weeks, whatever it is into the present. Let's move on. It's saying that's a story. Okay? That's a story you're telling yourself. That's no longer present. It's no longer relevant. So continue, move forward, get in alignment, find what is fulfilling. You know, do follow your joy. Stop holding yourself hostage in the past and stop beating the horse to death, aka beating yourself to death. Like, I think some of you guys hold on to things from the past as even self-punishment. So you're being asked to let that go. And again, if it's hard for you to even let it go for now, say, okay, you know, that was relevant for then, but that happened, now what? That happened, now what? That happened, now what? You know, supporting yourself to find that acceptance for what did happen, and now what are you going to do about it? Because certainly any trauma or grief or whatever has happened to you, anything at all that has happened to you has never happened to you for you to experience more torture or more struggle or challenge or limitation or suffering. That's not the reason. It's actually, if anything, to open up your capacity for more joy, more bliss, more fulfillment, okay? So it's actually to support higher levels of this, not more lower levels of the other heavier stuff. So remember that. Give yourself permission to experience the highs. Even if you want to believe until kingdom come that these things, you know, you can't let them go, they got to stick around, you want to argue for your limitations, all right. And then argue just as highly for your highs. Okay, don't let the low lows be the final answer here. Allow yourself to move forward because you're being given the nudge. Spirit is asking you to move forward. You see that lady back there in the back? She's finally journeying toward the light. You can see how it's a little bit gray and dull up here, closer to the forefront, right? And then she finally says, to heck with this, I'm moving on, moving on. You're being asked to move on. You're being asked to journey into more joy, more fulfillment, more bliss, into all that you deserve and to all that you desire. That's where you know, these greater potentials, like we talked about for abundance, lie. It's there. It's beyond this place where you might find yourself now or did in the past. This is just affirming this for you. So that's your message for you, pile 3. Thank you for joining me today. If this landed for you, I encourage you to like and subscribe. Also encourage you to share your story in the comments below. I also want to let you know I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching sessions and deeper one-on-one transformational work at my website, erritygreen.com. All of the details you can find below. Thank you, and until next time.